That thing happened not too long ago when I had the opportunity to come sit down in the mosque over at Allen J, and I had the chance to hear some concerns. So the things that I recognize that are problems that we need to address comes up as things that I identify with in our own community, which is the Black community here in High Point. So when the country of Sweden burned Qurans, that was a major problem. As a community, you all wanted to protest and walk down Main Street, and our government wasn't as supportive as that. I know that struggle because in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, we had the same problem. And we had to force government to work with us to do that. That's the same support I would give you because everyone should be able to peacefully protest. No one should be burning anyone's holy book. Because if anyone was burning Bibles, there'd be plenty of Christians having the same problem. What I also recognize and understand is that for you all, you're building many mosques and many centers here in the city. Much like churches have bells to call people to prayer, we know that your mosques want to be able to have something to call folks to prayer. And it's a very simple thing that I know we can do here in our city. We just have to ensure our government is prepared to be inclusive and care about what matters for people in the Muslim community. There's this other piece that I keep hearing more and more about, and I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I've never played cricket. But clearly as mayor, I need to figure out how to play cricket. But most importantly, I need to figure out how our recreational facilities can provide more spaces and more fields for cricket to be played. Right now, we have too many baseball fields and basketball courts that are not used. And we have them because here in America, we're used to playing those sports. But if our youth are not playing those and the grounds are just sitting there, we need to take those and convert them to cricket fields. I saw an example of this at Andrews High School over on McGuinn Street or McGuinn Drive. I used to teach at Andrews High School. And there was, I don't know if you all remember, there was like a big tower that had the letter A on it. And we actually had a field out there painted that we used for the marching band I used to teach. But every Sunday I would ride by and I would see people playing cricket out there. And I said, man, if they've got to come out there and play cricket, that means we need to have more fields for people to be able to play cricket. I think most importantly, ultimately, whatever we do, we have to be able to work together and be inclusive. There's just a couple more things I want to be able to keep in mind. As people move here into our country and they are small business owners, too many processes get in the way, too many barriers, too many unnecessary rules for people to be able to start businesses. There's no reason that you start your business and then government comes in and slows everything down. There should be a process for you to come submit your permit and right that same day be able to get a response back. There should be a process such that if people maybe don't speak English, we gotta have people up there who can help us translate that so business owners can get what they need much more quickly. Ultimately, a good economy only matters when every single business has what they need to succeed. And right now here in America, and especially I think in cities like High Point, we've got some work to do to ensure that we can be a better government to support businesses coming from all over the world. So those are the most important things.
I spent my entire young adult life around the Muslim community. My next door neighbors were Muslim in Raleigh, and we were best friends from elementary school, middle school, high school, and when we decided to go off to college, we were roommates all the way through through college. When he graduated, he moved back to Raleigh, so I was the only white guy at all the weddings and funerals and everything with the family and everything, and you know, I remember when Murad, Tark's younger brother, passed away a couple years ago. You know, they made sure that I came and it was with everyone and has always treated me like family. So I've been around that culture my whole life. Many of you know my campaign manager, Dr. Akir Khan. He's the one advised me on a lot of my decisions and initiatives that we think would be impactful for the city. And one thing I know about the Muslim community is they're very entrepreneurial. And if you want to open and succeed in the business world, there's a reason that businesses succeed in High Point or move to High Point. There's a company called Hot Shots that moved to this city last year. It's the #1 distributor of hot sauces in the country. I didn't know they were right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but because of some politicians down there trying to do all these political stunts and blowing a bunch of money and all kinds of crazy things, their taxes and cost of living has gone so high in some of these other areas of this country that it becomes contradicted to do business there. There's a company I hung out with last week, Pure Roast. They just moved here from California. They looked at all these different areas in Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and where they would take their company and relocate with all those jobs. Amazing company and amazing product, but when they finally got to High Point, they realized this was a safe area. The taxes were stable, the cost of living was stable. That's very important. I've watched people in this job now for 6 years, and one thing I've never tried to do is impress you. I'm here to do a job. If I impress you, cool, but if I do the job well, you should be happy. And what I want to make sure is that city services are done well. I want to make sure that we're looking at economic development opportunities, that we're partnering with our major companies and our resources, such as High Point University. I have a very good working relationship with all of the leadership at High Point University. Anytime that they have a need in our community, I want to make sure we're responsive. GTCC as well. We've got companies like Boom Sonic and all these other organizations that are coming here bringing 3,000 plus jobs here in the next couple of years. We've got to make sure that we remain attractive for companies like that, and that doesn't stop. If we can continue on the trend we are, we're going to see economic prosperity restored to what the glory days. You may not know this, but at one point in time, High Point was the wealthiest city in the country per capita, and it can be that way again. And the reason it was because of entrepreneurs and people that were forward-thinking, visionaries. And we have one of our biggest assets is our positioning geographically. The reason why Old Dominion's done so well here, you've got 311, you've got 74, you got I-85, you've got 40. We're halfway between New York and Florida. So it makes really good sense if you can get into a business that produces goods or services, you can ship all of that all over the country and be geographically put in a right position. So we need to capitalize on that. We need to do what the entrepreneurs did to make High Point the furniture capital of the world, but do it in other industries. We're not going to get back those industries the way that they were, just like we're not going to get Blockbuster back, guys. Things change, trends change, and we have to be forward thinking to capitalize on what's the next wave economically. And when that comes here, we're all going to prosper and all going to succeed. Thank
you. So, what do I know about the High Point Muslim community? Well, it's election time, and I know you're all asking, what do we know about the candidates? This is my first time meeting Mr. Siddiqui. Very nice to meet you. We've done a forum, the other three of us previously, and it's your typical election forum for the most part, you see right across America. We have Cyril, a man of faith, a Democrat, an African American, and we have Victor, also a man of faith. I know this, a white man who's a Republican. And for most elections, you all come here, you show up, you look at the ballot, which do I choose? Because one thing I know about Muslim voters is you are very independent thinkers. I don't think as a group you vote Democrat or Republican. I think you really want to see who is here for my issues. I'm not affiliated with a political party. That doesn't mean I'm your right choice. I hope it is, but it doesn't mean I'm your right choice. When you leave today, you're going to know that I stand for increasing home ownership on the south side of town, because I believe the American dream, which is to work a job and purchase your home and pay it off and raise a family, I believe that is the tide that raises all ships, the American dream. And that is what I want to bring to South High Point. What do I know about the Muslim community in High Point? As I said, I know you're independent thinkers. Last week I sent out, and some of you may have received this already, a letter to every single unaffiliated voter in High Point. And I personally addressed all the labels myself. And I've got the first 5 pages here of the names of those unaffiliated voters. And the highlighted ones, I'll read to you. Last name, Amir, Abbas, Akhtar, Ali. There's a lot of Ali's here. Another Ali, Ashgar, Awan, Ayub, Azmat. Keep going. Begum. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Bibi. These are the unaffiliated voters that I've only just started to get to the beats. But here's the really interesting thing. about that list. I'll read the first names. Myra, Amira, Shaheen, Wasim, Zara. Rina, Noor Ul Ain. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Another Zahid. I think you know where I'm going here. Dilshad, Ilshrat, Muktia, Sufrida, Tahira. What's the one thing in common with all these names? Anybody? They're all female. Your power is in the women in your community because they show up, they register, and they vote in primary elections. Now, I skipped a few of the male names there, possibly your names, but you have an incredible asset. And Taz and I kind of got into it on Friday when he shot me a text and said, hey, just want to give you a heads up, Gene, it's men only. You did say that, but I think you said it's really mostly men coming to this event. And I shot him a text back and said, why? And he said, well, that's how it is in our culture. And that's okay. Next week, I'll be going to an event with the NAACP, which is for African Americans. Then we'll be going to another event called the Men's Huddle, which is for men as well. So it's okay to have these events. But know that you have an incredible position in this community of women that show up to vote. I cannot get through this primary without the support of the Muslim community. I can't. I'm an unaffiliated voter. There's no Republican Party that's going to put out an endorsement for me. There's no Democrat Party that's going to put out an endorsement for me. And in North Carolina, there's no unaffiliated party either. There's only unaffiliated voters. So I appreciate that you are all independent thinkers, and I hope that when it comes to showing up to that primary on October 10th, you will bring your independent thinking to the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you for throwing me under the bus. But I did tell you that it was going to be mostly men out of respect to prepare you in
Yes.
case you look around and you're like, where are all the women at? And I did the same thing for the other candidates, but I'm glad that you understood the message that I was trying to say. Okay, so the next question, and you have the mic. Try to keep the answers to 2 minutes. We're doing pretty good on time, but I just want to be a little bit aware of that. All right, so you talked about this a little bit, Gene, and why don't you maybe elaborate a little bit more? What development initiatives will you introduce or support for the south side of High Point?
Okay, everything I will do as Mayor of High Point really focuses on the discrepancies between the south side of High Point and the north side of High Point. So I talked about increasing home ownership. We can do that. There are loan pools going on in other cities now, many in just an infant stage, but where they are trying to improve home ownership in minority districts. Why do we need that? In 27260, the average tax value of a home property is $85,000. Okay, that sounds like good news, right? That's really cheap. That's really bad news. Most sales in 27262 are cash sales because you cannot get financing on a home at $85,000. There's no profit in it for the bank, and your upfront closing costs are going to be too high a percentage of the total mortgage that the state of North Carolina will step in and say, that's a predatory loan. We can't allow that. But the closing costs on an $85,000 loan or mortgage aren't that different from a $250,000 mortgage. It's just that you're buying a really cheap property. But with a loan pool, we can help people purchase those houses at $85,000. We can do it no money down. We can subsidize the interest rate. And if there are things that need to be done with those homes to bring them up to a livable condition, that can also be wrapped into the mortgage through a loan pool. As mayor, I will not have very much sympathy for landlords who have tenants in slum conditions in this city, anywhere in the city. So that'll be something I'll really, really look at. And we need to reduce the lifespan gap of 17 years between the north side and the south side. So that's going to be my focus. After World War II, we had the GI Bill. We brought veterans home. We gave them low interest, no money down loans and access to education. Okay, this is going to be a GI Bill for people on the south side of High Point, regardless of your race or your religion, but to really repair these neighborhoods. Okay, there's a lot of talk in High Point about reparations right now. You know, regardless of your position on that, we do need to repair our neighborhoods on the south side. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't expect everybody to know everything that the city does, but like I said, I've been at it for 6 years, so I'm pretty familiar with what the city can and cannot do to encourage certain types of developments. I can tell you, with respect to some of the discussions we've had when it comes to food deserts, food insecurities, all these grocery store chains have metrics that they go by. How many rooftops are there, and what's the income and public safety figures and all that stuff for an area. And if it meets their criteria, then they'll open a store there. It justifies the investment into that area. We've had a down payment assistance. People keep talking about this, but we already have it. I don't know why people aren't aware, but we have a down payment assistance program in the city already. It's always been about the core city area and the central area of High Point, closer to downtown. I've helped at least a dozen people go through that process. My friend Jordan and Amanda Green, they got theirs a couple years ago, and it was like a $10,000 3-year forgivable incentive to help them reinvest there. So I think our council really ought to just look at expanding that. We don't have to create a new program. We don't have the program. So we just look at what targeted zip codes or areas do we want to push that incentive to. And then the main thing is transparency to getting the word out. Like I went back to the town hall thing. Have a town hall in those areas of town saying, do you know about this program? Do you understand how to utilize it? Do you know how to enroll into that? If we do that, and we increase homeownership, that's going to rise a whole lot of cool things. Homeowners typically are going to take better care of their property because a lot, as Gene made a good point about some of the landlords, renters aren't always going to take pride in the house that the owner would do when it comes to everything related to the house. I know in the north end of town, we've got about 78 to 83% homeownership in most of the areas. And as you get down to the south sides, in the 30s, about 38 to 37% in most of those areas. If we can change that, by using programs we already have, then we don't have to change a whole lot, right? We just got to just adjust and get the word out. And once we do that, then you're going to see people, other grocery stores and other amenities come that they need in that area of town because they now have more homes, more developments that will be their potential customers. That's kind of how economic development works. Been doing it for 6 years.
So in terms of what development initiatives will we out there create or support in the South Side, what's important to me is that government has a role to play. And if government steps over too far, then we have a problem. What government's job should be able to provide the space, opportunity, and support for private sector businesses, business owners, and community leaders to help develop their own communities. And so what that looks like is that we partner with the Muslim community, and this is where I think we have an opportunity to ask, is that if folks are interested, we can have an advisory committee or an advisory commission strictly from the Muslim community where you all know that you're nestled at, so we can talk about the problems you have and we can be very strategic to support those problems. I think there's opportunities to support business within the South Side, and so what we did a few years ago to support entrepreneurs, we're expanding that. So we raised $2 million. We're in the process of raising another $2 million to support entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I think that we can create that kind of opportunity for businesses on the South Side. But we wouldn't just tell you what we're going to do because that's not smart. You got to work with people in those communities who lead those communities and say, how do we best use these resources? How do we best use these funds to support the work that you're doing? Because ultimately, you know your community best.
Now we come back to South Side and community. That's a good question because we always mostly, we have a Muslim community on the South Side. We think about, like my friends, they say about the businesses, the small businesses, we have to go the hard way or difficult time to be approve these businesses. So it's besides that, we have a lot of our masjid and everything. We always talk about we need the permission to be for azan. Azan is very important for all these Muslim community to let the people know is the prayer time, and then we can. And azan is like inviting the people to come for the pray, and that's why we on the south side we have mostly things. We have a lot of mass, and I think it's 5 or 6 masses, and we always talk about what kind of we can give to community to provide the permission to be azan for the azan in namaz time, so people knows. The other thing is like at the business, we talk about all these business. These all they mention about what the people go through the business, and so few things we have in mind. We need something. We need for south side or north side, both sides. We always need our business support. We need some people like people living, on the road, and like homeless people. And then we talk about the property. We talk about the light bill. We talk about the tax high point. So if we put all these combinations, we have a south side or north side, we have the same thing. And we have to be, we have to get everything together and finish what we want to be on the south side, and help the people what they have to be, what they needed, and what we can do for them. Thank you.
Excuse me, guys, I have 2 questions if you allow me.
We will do that at the end. What's your, sir? At the end of the meeting. I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
Zaman.
Zaman. So the next question I have, gentlemen, is around safety. And recently, one of our community businesses had multiple break-ins. Maybe you guys saw it on the news. Fox did a piece on it. What's your plan to increase public safety in the city?
We say we always have we've been through this kind of problem a long time. And I think for public safety or business safety and the school safety and all these safety, we have to closely work together. And I think we have a very good support from police department. They do a good job, and they always stand for us. So I think it's going okay, but what we can do, we all have to be working together and supporting the community, our small business people for safety. And if it's the school safety or it's a business safety, or we talking about all these breaking things in the, but we have to keep eye on it and work together, and how we can provide the safety. We can, like I say, always get the support from the police department and the city and the fire departments and all. That's why we can do it.
Some of our safety concerns, I think we can mitigate those by investing more in law enforcement. I'll be the first to tell you that as long as the police chief keeps telling us that we don't have all of our positions filled, that gives me concern. That worries me. And so as a city government, we've got to do more to invest in our police department so we can have officers. But I do think there is a major solution that can bring an opportunity for us. We don't have enough cameras throughout the city. And granted, don't get me wrong, that's not some cheap solution or some cheap fix. But if you have more cameras, then it allows you to capture more things before they happen. and it can actually prevent crimes from happening before they ever start because people will be deterred. They'll see those cameras and they'll go another way. And it's good because we see more families putting up Ring doorbells on their houses so that way they can see it. But as a government, we've got some existing infrastructure that we can utilize to put more cameras in neighborhoods, as well as on commercial streets, as well as around businesses. So that way we can prevent crimes from happening. I think there's another public safety concern that has more to just do with robbery and violent crimes. I think we have a major public safety concern around our streets and speeding, Taz. So can I speak to that just briefly? I met Rizwan today for the first time, and Rizwan, I got to tell you, it broke my heart to learn the story about your son. To know that he was just playing in the front yard right out here on Fairfield, and for a car to come by like that. That kind of story, as a father, I'm gonna be honest, man, like I just to even think about that. And to know that you still chose to run, to still be active, to still be in business, like you're taking care of that, and that means something. But what that means is, as a government, we've got to be better about ensuring our streets are safer. My kids play all day long in the front yard, and I can't imagine having to worry about that. Right now, we give people the right to speed because Main Street is the width of a highway. If you go out there, take a tape measure and measure the street, it is the same size as 311. And so people fly down the streets. And once they're done flying up South Main, they turn on Fairfield and they fly down it. Or they fly down Greensboro Road on my neighborhood. We have to be able to invest in safer streets and as well as in cameras, so that way we don't just deter violent crimes, but deter all the traffic crimes that happen that also are a public safety issue.
In 2020, I voted no on the city's budget. I'm a Marine, and I served in the Marines with several of our officers in the police department. And I voted no on that budget because it defunded the police. Make no mistake about it, it defunded the police. And they used those funds to go create another job that a couple council members wanted to create in the city. Officers know it. In 2019, when I was reelected, I met with the mayor and said, we need to do something to show these officers that this city council supports them. We created the Public Safety Committee. I chair that committee. The purpose of that committee is so that law enforcement, firefighters, all the folks that keep us safe have a avenue that they can come talk to. This is what's going on. This is what we need. These are some good technologies that we think the city could look into to make the things safer in the city. So in the past 2 years, like I said, we've picked up NIBIN. NIBIN is a technology that you can take a shell casing from the ground, and they can put it in this machine, analyze it, goes to a national database, and we've tracked crimes that we go, this gun was used here, it was used in Burlington, it was used up in Eden. We can tell all that we're using NIBIN technology, and it's very quick. Previously, you had to go through the FBI and other federal and state agencies to get that access to that information. We've increased our body camera usage to all of our officers now, so that we have recordings of every incident, so we can go back and review and find out if the officer was irresponsible or something happened, so we can do better training for our officers. Here recently, we just implemented LPR technology, it's license plate readers, cameras. And so just last week, we caught some folks out of Wilson, North Carolina, I believe it was. They were here, they had murdered somebody. They were driving through here trying to flee the state, and the LPRs picked up their tags. Oh, it was Rocky Mount. It was Rocky Mount. We called Rocky Mount PD and said, hey, we got your guys over here. So that technology is helping us catch criminals and keep them off the street. One thing we're also just approved and are looking into, and just approved was the real-time crime lab. Real-time crime lab means that Kashif and I could give the PD permission to use our front doorbells, right? Royal Limousine, one of my companies, I've got cameras there. I've had catalytic converters stolen off my party bus a couple years ago. I can now give the police department access, my permission. I can take it back if I want to too. If I decide I don't do this anymore, I can take it back. And you can pick which cameras on your property you want to out of your Ring system. It's a quick process, but what happens is if there's a crime or break-in, alarm goes off at that business or residence, instantly PD can look live into that location and figure out what's going on and advise the officers before they come on the premises. This is what you're dealing with. There's two men this size, they're armed, they're not armed, or it's a cat. So we're using technologies now. They've implemented it in Kernersville and in Winston-Salem. We're trying to use these technologies to keep you safer, to equip our officers to have the best resources available. Yes, we've had some vacancies, but I can tell you we've got 5 in BLET right now. Some that are out of that, they're in the field training officer positions. So we are filling those vacancies. And I can tell you, go ask any officer in High Point Police Department who they want to be the mayor. They'll tell you Victor Jones. Promise you.
So I didn't realize crime was going to be on the list today. But ironically, it's really what the ultimate motivation was for me to run for mayor.
I had to get you back, Gene. Surprise.
You did. But this really speaks to my motivation. I live on the Johnson Street Historic District. You drive through, it's a lovely, lovely district with big green leafy trees. If you drive through right now, you see a lot of yellow signs. Those are mine. All my neighbors have them up, and I'm grateful to them. But we used to have a horrific speeding problem on our street. Literally every second Sunday morning, quiet mornings, a car would be zooming down our street, and another car coming up the hill or down the hill from Main Street wouldn't stop at the stop sign because they just saw this very quiet street, and we'd have these horrific impacts, literally 2 a month. This went on for months and months. We went to the transportation department to get something changed. We just said, give us a stop sign, give us that. Nope, we can't affect traffic. The transportation director came to us and said, you don't have a safety issue on your street. You don't have car accidents on your street. And at that point, we started taking photographs of every single car accident. And literally, two a month, the cars would end up in front of people's houses on the grass, okay? So what I learned from that experience, we eventually got our stop sign, and the street is wonderful now. But what I learned from that experience is the statistics you see coming from the police department who record all of these incidences do not reflect reality. My reality, living in the historic district on Johnson Street, is myself and my neighbors, my wife, all had our car windows shot out one night by someone cruising down the back alley, just shooting away. The shop owner on Main Street behind us, catalytic converters, ripped off his trucks, all of his trucks, probably $10,000 loss that night. This is all just in the last few years. Current council, okay? And then, the part that pushed me to become mayor was finally, one day we had a burglar come into our house at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday morning while I was home. My wife had just left. This burglar was watching the house, assumed the house was empty. I'm home with my 2 boys. One of them said, Daddy, I just saw someone come in our back door. He was from the window. And I said, are you sure? He goes, yeah. I'm like, do you recognize him? Is he a neighbor? He's like, no, he's definitely not a neighbor, Daddy. This is Harry, he's 12 years old. And I said, okay, Harry, grab your brother, go and get in the bathtub, upstairs bathtub, cast iron. Obviously, I'm worried about shooting beginning. I don't own a gun. That probably disqualifies me from being mayor in High Point because I don't own a gun. But I went downstairs and I found that guy and I walked him off the property. Fortunately, he was not armed with a gun either. And I walked him off the property. It took 20 minutes for the police to show up, okay? And then a neighbor who heard me yelling at this guy to keep moving said, hey, do you want to get in my car? We'll follow him, because the police just weren't showing up. So we followed at a distance, didn't approach him anymore. Finally, 9 blocks later, the police cars showed up and they brought the dogs in and the dogs found him in someone's backyard. But in that period of time, by the time I got home, my younger son was so traumatized by that experience, he can now, 2.5 years later, still cannot, if we're on the road somewhere, go to a bathroom by himself. He cannot sleep in his own bed at night. Okay, he sleeps with my wife now, and occasionally I get to sort of sneak in there as well beforehand or afterwards when he's gone to sleep, but he cannot sleep in his own bed at night. Okay, that's the result of the personal experience of crime. And I know there's a lot more crime going on down here, and that's got to be the experience for some of your kids who have witnessed these crimes or been a victim of crime. And that's what we need to reduce. The canary in the coal mine, it's not that we can't get enough police officers right now, but the canary in the coal mine that we've got a serious problem on this side of town that needs to be fixed is we can't get school teachers. We've got elementary schools offering $20,000 signing bonuses just to come and teach, to teachers to come and teach in their school. Okay? That's how broken so many of our kids are coming into these classrooms. The teachers don't want to be there anymore. Okay? We need to rebuild our kids. Comes with home ownership. As I said from the beginning, you take one thing away today, it is I want to increase home ownership, pride, and give a chance at the American dream to this side of High Point. Thank you.
Thank you. So the audience has some questions. I want to get your permission first. We had a list of questions, but I believe somebody might have questions. Are you guys okay? Are you guys comfortable with this? Okay. So we'll take a couple of questions. Is that okay? Okay.
Good afternoon, the four of the candidates for the mayor in the High Point. So my first question is the most welcome during the election. The problem is the city have it every day growing to the homeless. And this is the international community visit all the time. Yearly 2 times with the international market, nationwide the America, people visiting here. Especially the South Main area is the growing crazy like homeless. So my question is what you gonna do with these people? Every light, every stop sign have 2, 3 homeless. They're asking for the begging. That's the bad name for the city. The second question is the school system is going bad and bad. Gun violence, our children is not safe. So I have the question, Mr. What's the name, Mr. Victor and Mr. Johnson. So what you gonna do when you elected? Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the 16 years I've been living in High Point, homelessness has definitely grown. Poverty has increased. African American home ownership has decreased. It's gone down the last 3 years. On the north side of High Point, home ownership amongst whites has gone up. So we've got these discrepancies which indicates the system is not working. The north side, the city is about to build a senior centre at Oakview. In fact, they're now calling it activity centre because they want to expand the role of this facility. North side got the baseball field, okay, the Catalyst District. The south side, on Brentwood, guess what you're getting? A homeless day shelter. Does that sound right? And you know there's a park across the street. These people who are going to the day shelter, they have to sleep somewhere. And the city's going to be handing out tents to these people. You're going to have a tent city down here very, very soon. That is something that should really scare you all to death. And there are going to be law firms that come in as soon as those tents go up. They're going to protect the rights of those homeless people. I would hope we don't get to that point. We stop it by just strengthening our city from the ground floor up. Thank you. I hope that answered your question.
Sure. So I just had breakfast on Thursday with Ryan Ross. He's the executive director of Open Door Ministries. I volunteer there at least once a year, donate to them. They also run Arthur Cassell Houses, which is the homeless shelter for veterans. I go there every year for Thanksgiving, bring them Thanksgiving dinner, and then we do it again on Christmas with High Point Elks. We also have Salvation Army that's families, and we've got Wesleyan Ministry for ladies. And our homeless population is around 800 people in High Point, which is significant. But yes, we have funded 411 Brentwood Street, which is coming, about 18 months timeline. It'll be up and running. High Point gave them $2 million from our ARPA funds. The county gave them $2 million from our ARPA funds, and then the state contributed about $800,000 to get this thing funded. The secret with trying to combat homelessness is not just putting in a home, right? Because there's still a homeless person inside that just happens to be in a home, right? So we have to, the main key is programming and helping them get back up on their feet. That way they can reintegrate to society. A lot of these people were fine. They paid their bills, while they were homeowners at one point in time, they had a good career. Life just threw them a curveball. Something happened and they got on hard times, and then next thing you know, they didn't know what to do. So that's where they ended up. The average person, the average family in America is $500 a month away from homelessness. So what can we do? I can tell you with what Open Doors doing, Salvation Army, Western Ministries is effective though. They just need to be able to expand it. And we're giving them the resources to be able to do that and to make a better effort to reduce homelessness. They had a guy named Ron. Ron was at Open Door. He got on hard times. They got him a job at Amazon, and within a year he became a supervisor. Now a homeowner. So they can turn things around. I helped a female veteran 2 Septembers ago go from being homeless in October and a homeowner by September. So I'm very good at trying to look at strategies to help people get back on their feet. Yes, there are a lot of mental health issues that cause homelessness. Yes, there's drugs and alcohol that sometimes cause it, but it's not always the case. Either way, it doesn't matter. We just got to help them with whatever ails them, whatever got them in that situation in the first place, whether we send them to caring services to help with mental alcohol, drug addictions, or mental health associates of the Triad. I was on their board for 6 years. We need to help figure out what caused them to become homeless and then get them back on their feet. That's what we should do as a loving, caring community. I'm passionate about that, and I love that we have amazing nonprofits that's their specialty, and I love the fact that our city is supporting them.
So your question was about homelessness and education, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me just address both of them. So in terms of education, I'm the only candidate who's been a teacher, the only one. So when people talk about education in this race, I appreciate people love our schools, but the only one who's actually worked in the schools, the only one who still supports the schools. In fact, I just finished a fellowship on education policy with leaders from all across this state. The person who's actually done the work for schools, the person who has the superintendent on speed dial is the person who you're looking at right now, because I am in fact a teacher, and that's why I got into this work. And so when it comes to the work we can do for our schools, there's more we can do, and let's keep talking about that. The second thing is homelessness, and I appreciate both of you guys bringing up the project. Let me give a little bit of clarification. So the person who actually created that project is myself. So when they're talking about Open Door Ministries and the money that was raised, you're looking at the person who led that project. But I want to clarify, no offense, guys, your facts and figures were a little off. We're going on Brentwood Street probably, but there is no park across from where we're putting it. And it's not just a day center. We're actually moving the nighttime shelter and making it larger because so many people have nowhere to sleep. We're giving them job training because people need jobs. We're giving them mental health support. We're giving them the drug support that they need so they can stay off of it. But more than just that, we're giving them a campus and a community in which we can hold ourselves accountable to support people experiencing homelessness. Right now in this city, if you have a problem with homelessness, you have to stay in a shelter here, get on a bus over here to come see your counselor, get on a bus over here to try to get a job, get on a bus over here to try to get your ID, get on a bus over here to get to the laundromat, and that's a broken system because we know our buses aren't that great anyways. So the project that I've been leading is to put everything that they need into one location. The money that's been raised is actually 2.4 that's come from the city, 2.4 million that is. There's a $3 million earmark that I secured from Congress up in Washington, D.C. And you can see those pictures and everything online because every time we go to D.C., myself and Monica, who's on city council, and Britt, we go and talk to Kathy Manning and thank her for that work. There's another $2 million that we got from the county, and instead of $850,000, I'm gonna correct you on that too, there's $500,000 coming from the state towards that project. So far, we've raised $8 million for a project, and we brought every partner to the table. We're not putting it across from some park because you can't do that, right? The reason why we have to have a day shelter and a day center, the reason why it needs to be in the 27260 zip code that I live in, is because people there need the help, and they're asking for it. And so respectfully, if you've got questions about homelessness and education, talk to the candidate who's actually doing something about it or who has worked in it. Thank y'all.
We come back about our cities, what's going on. But the thing is, why is homeless that many? You can see everywhere them homeless laying around or they're begging for the money. It's the economy. If we bring economy better, they gonna have a job, and then they don't have to ask for, or they don't have to beg for the money. Look, main thing, we don't have no shopping center. We used to have long time ago when I was growing up. It's the Westchester Mall. They have Westchester Mall. Then they close the Westchester Mall, they come with Ocala Mall. Then Ocala Mall, a lot of people, they have economy better, they have a store. We have big support for small businesses. And we all, mostly people, the different companies, they have stores over there and it was doing good. We don't have that many beggar or that many people laying on the street. But the thing is, we have to bring we gonna make a center for where people gonna be homeless, people gonna be staying night or that. No, we have to. That's a different thing, but we have to bring the economy better. We have to bring economy better, support the small business, bring the new business in a High Point. I'm going to give you one big example. Like a lot of people, they come from overseas, a furniture market. They used to be have a big furniture market. They call it world's biggest furniture market in a High Point. But now when you turn around, they have twice a year the furniture market, but we don't have that many people because these all businesses gone to the other countries, they move to the other places, they move to the other city. Why we lose these business? So the first thing, we have to bring economy, for better economy, we have to bring a business down here, and then we support some entertainment center. We don't have it. People come, I think it's about I say 14, 15 hours travel after they come here and they come to the furniture market. What they need to go, they don't, after market, they cannot go nowhere. They have to go Winston-Salem, they have to go to Greensboro, they have to go to different places. No entertainment center here. Nothing here where the people can enjoy their life with the job. And they can help the other businesses, like say if you have like a mall and this, so at least they have a place to go where they can spend money, and that money can support our city. That tax money, these money that come from, they can support our economy. So we have to think about it. And I think we have to work all together, and we can help our community do for that.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we're coming up on our time. What I'd like to do is give you guys 2 minutes to please talk about any closing remarks that you have or anything that you want to address to the community. I'll start with you since you have the mic, sir. Just keep it in 2 minutes so we can go around. And then after we get done here, the formal, feel free to talk to your candidates. If you guys have time, a few minutes, hang around in case anybody has specific questions. And we can also grab some more tea because I need some more caffeine. So 2 minutes, closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, first thing I'm going to start again for everything. Thank you guys for supporting me and you helping me for my foundations. And I'm very happy with you guys to be bringing these things from the community and from all these candidates so they can understand that for the future, what if I didn't win or if not gonna work, I'm not working in the office, at least we have some people here. They understand what we needed, what we need for our community, what we need for homeless, what we need for our businesses. So I'm very happy with you guys to be here, and y'all give me a chance to talk about it. And thank you very much. So.
As a closing statement, I want to say a couple things to just reiterate a couple things. First and foremost, thank you. You all could have done anything today. You could have been anywhere, and yet you chose to be here to hear us answer some questions. And we're going to ask you over these next couple of months for your support and to show up to the polls to cast a vote. So thank you for taking time. Also, thank you for choosing High Point. You could have lived anywhere, but you chose to live right here in our beloved city, and that means something to me. Because without you being here, without every High Pointer that lives in this city, we can't be the beautiful High Point that we are. So thank you. The second thing I want to really reiterate is this, is that as a city tries its best to support every community, you cannot support a community by trying to tell that community what you think is best for them. You have to have respect and trust that community and the wisdom that that community has to best support that community. All due respect, Taz, when you sent us the text message and said it's gonna be men here, I had no question about it. Not because I don't think women are important, I know women vote. If you do your research, you know the women vote. But I also know within your community, you have customs. Within your community, we respect your values. We respect your traditions. I wouldn't dare tell you how to live how you should live. I respect that every single person in here is wise enough and has been given power by God to lead your families and your communities the way that you need to lead it. And I'm not gonna tell you how to lead your community. What I'm gonna do as mayor is work with you. What I'm gonna do as mayor is listen to you. What I'm gonna do as mayor is support you. Ensure that a government is not a government that sits up in some city hall and tells you I own 7 businesses and I know how to fix your life. I'm not gonna do that. I trust you. I wanna work with you. And quite frankly, because you chose High Point, because you believe in High Point, I love you for that. And I want you to be able to have a city that you can take pride in and that you and your families can grow up in. Because as a husband and father, that means something to me, so I know it means something to you all. So thank you, we respect you, we want to work with you, and we love you. Thank you.
Well, one thing you'll never hear me do is mock or belittle anybody else just to win an election. My mom raised me better than that. So I came here because I love you, I love my community. I came here because I respected the invitation. I came here because hopefully in the last hour you've had a chance to get to know me a little bit better. Because if I'm your mayor, we're going to spend a lot of time together the next 4 years. I hope to see you a lot more. I hope that you won't wait till the next election to host one of these again. I hope you'll do it on an annual basis at the very least and invite me in as your mayor and say, yeah, hey, Vic, would you come and hang out with us on a Sunday afternoon? Can we come and get your attention and talk to you about things that are important to our community, our businesses, our families? I hope you'll include me that. I'm not the candidate that shows up only when it's time to campaign. I run hard and I run the same pace every day. And I've done that since I was in the Marine Corps and I do it now. If you want me to be here 6 months after the election, I'll still be here. If you want me to come on to a luncheon thing to hear from what you got going on, I want your voices to be my input. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I can't think of everything. And I'm not supposed to. I'm a representative. All right, I'm not here to be the genius on city council. There's ideas that you have that I need to know about for me to be effective because I'm representing you. I'm supposed to be a mirror. So the things that I do as a leader and the things that I do as your mayor should be like a mirror. You should see me in you. So that's the type of mayor you're going to have for the next 4 years. I'm also going to hold my other city council members to the same level of accountability, and I can promise you that they will be just as responsive. If not, I'll get on. So thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Taz, for putting this on. I think the big question to take away from all of this is, what do you hope will come out of the next 4 years? Municipal elections used to be 2 years, and we could turn things over every 2 years if we didn't like the direction. They're 4 years now. Okay, that's a long time. It's a really long time if you make a mistake. If you don't get it right, it's a really long time. I see homelessness going in the wrong direction in this city. I see crime going in the wrong direction in this city. Okay? Education has been going in the wrong direction for way, way too long. Okay? We can improve all of those things. I think it all begins by restoring dignity and pride in our American families. our Muslim families, our African American families, restoring dignity and pride and trust that you have a fair go in life and a fair start in life. My best solution is a chance at the American dream, home ownership, that where you can work to build equity, to build generational wealth, rather than spinning your wheels in generational poverty that your kids will pick up on and feel. Thank you very much for having me today.
I'm going to ask you guys for 3 more minutes, please. Britt, I see you back there. You want to come up and say a couple of words because everybody else got an opportunity, and I want to give you the same respect. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Britt Moore, currently on City Council, and I certainly wasn't planning to speak here. I thank Tanny and Taz for asking me to introduce myself as what it is. This forum was set up for your candidates for mayor, and I want to be respectful of that. I hope that I will get a chance to come back at the appropriate time and share with you, get some of the other fine candidates that have filed for other ward seats and at large. So I'm not going to monopolize an unfair time. These guys were here to speak to you today, and they deserve that time. So, but I'm Britt Moore, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
थोड़ा टाइम बहुत करता एक दो नहीं एक क्वेश्चन नहीं खबर ना उसे एक क्वेश्चन
I have
One more question, gentlemen. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm sorry for that. I have one more question, the elected mayor future. I have the question, the 6 years ago or the 4 years ago, we put in the Johnson Street, right now they're the countryside. The people living about the 30 houses over there, and they want to match to with the city system. And the ex-councillor Monica Peter, she visited already 4 years ago before over there, and the deputy manager of the city, he knows everything, and they got to survey everything on the line, but 4 years, 6 years, nobody take care about that issue. So when you got elected, we knew to do the next to the city, yeah. Because they want to the system with the city system, sewer lines, garbage and everything. That's the main question. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow what the specific.
So the Janice Street want to be annexed into the city from last 6 years we trying.
Are you guys familiar with this?
So from what I understand about the issue, there's a part that's just outside of city limits that wants to be annexed into the city. Because if it gets annexed in, then the city can give it services, maintain the roads, things of that nature. So first and foremost, what we need to do, and Monica, you know this problem clearly, look to see if there's an intergovernmental issue with the county. I don't know if the county's got an issue with us annexing, but as long as we can annex it, and there's a fairly feasible road for us to move our infrastructure in there in terms of our water, our sewage, our electrical and roads, then that's absolutely on the table. I want to learn a little bit more from it. So perhaps we can talk, Tanvir, Monica, we can all talk a little bit more about that. But as a city, we're always looking, if folks are already claiming High Point as home and they're there and willing to be annexed, for the most part, we're willing to do that, but there are some things we have to sit down and talk about just to figure out a little bit more about it. But I definitely think we can make it happen.
I know it's a very specific topic question, so I would not be okay with that, but because it requires a little bit more research to give you a good answer. But respect to you guys for even trying to tackle it. Do you want to say a word or two about it?
Not really. I don't really think that's a candidate forum question. It's more of
Yeah.
a specific need that you would like for some of us that are on council to look at. Like I said, I can give you my card as well. You email me about it. We can look into it. But we annex property all the time. If people want to, as long as it's contiguous, as long as there's no dispute between another municipality, there's annexation plans that are 10 years in advance, like we did with Colfax for the school recently, the K through 9, I think it was. But those may be challenges, but we'll look into it for you.
You okay? So before we end the formal meeting, and you can ask specific questions, you got councilmen here, just be respectful of time. Special thank you to everybody that came out here. Tanvir, thank you for helping us put it together, Mr. Ashok Khan, the team back there, Rizwan Wasim Abubai, all the volunteers, especially you guys that came out here and represented. A lot of people said they were going to come and they didn't. But a lot of people said they were going to come and they did. So I respect you for that. These gentlemen respect you for that. You gave them a platform. And I think this is the first time, and I hope that we can continue to have these meetings whenever we need to. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. Thank you guys for taking the time out. And if any mistakes were made, please forgive me with the first one. Let's have a good time, have some tea, and we can talk offline.